The most undervalued part of any equity market, and I mean private or public, is innovation in the public markets. Now, consider the source. It's what I do, innovation in the public markets. The other disagreement, however, would be on the yield curve.
Welcome to Solving Life. I'm Nolan, and let me try to get you in the mindset of an Ark analyst. The year is 2020, but life, it's as we know it. Just within arm's reach of me, I have a handheld supercomputer that also allows me to communicate with other people anywhere on the planet. Most of you guys know this as a smartphone. I have a laptop and computer that has more processing power than all of the computers combined in the year I was born. I get around the world by driving a gas-powered car that can stay in its lane by itself, warn me of cars in my blind spot, and can start remotely anywhere in the world. Now, take a second and think about how much would we change if we rewind time 10, 20, even 50 years ago. Think about how we would communicate with others. Am I sending letters? Are cell phones around? Or is it just a home phone? What would we do to occupy our free time? Is there a TV, the internet, or do I just have a ball and a stick? How is information spread? Is the only way to research a topic by going to a brick-and-mortar library? Now, start working your way back to the present day and think about the absolutely mind-blowing technological jump that humanity has achieved. Most of the technology we take for granted today is something that was once deemed impossible. They would say it was nothing more than a sci-fi fantasy. Now, let me ask you, what will humanity accomplish in the next 10, 20, even 50 years? My guess is most of the innovations we would use every day are things that we don't even know we would need. It would be something that if I told you now, you'd laugh in my face and call me crazy. That's why I absolutely love Ark Invest and their forward thinking. They know that the world we live in is always evolving. The best technology today will only get us so far before the next innovation takes over.
We center our research on something called Wright's Law. Wright's Law is, and you'll get this sense of exponential growth here, Wright's Law says that for every cumulative doubling in units produced, costs decline at a consistent rate. Mr. Wright derived this formula during the early days of airplane manufacturing. And he noticed for every cumulative doubling in the number of airplanes produced, costs declined at a consistent rate. When costs decline at a consistent rate, prices come down and unleash waves of demand. That's what we're talking about when we talk about exponential growth. So last year, there were 2.4 million whole human genomes sequenced. That's half of all of the whole human genomes that have ever been sequenced. We are already in exponential growth territory because of the cost decline I mentioned earlier. We believe that 2.4 million will be 100 million in 5 years. Think about that. That's nearly a 40-fold increase, or roughly a 40-fold increase. And it's all because of battery cost declines. Remember, I say cost is the reason, always, always, always. That's where it starts. The technology and then the cost coming down.
What Ark founder Cathie explained to us is how they view disruptive innovations by using Wright's Law. She is telling us that at first the technology is created or becomes possible. This initial technology is very expensive to create and even more expensive to use or sell. We have seen this as true throughout history. Every time something new comes out, the price starts very expensive because of the cost of production. Those costs really limit what we can do with this technology, and it takes time for new advances to come out and make it cheaper and more cost efficient to produce. The technology that has the most eyes on it right now isn't medical DNA sequencing or 3D printing, but AI, energy storage, and robotics because of what Tesla has been able to achieve. That isn't to say that those areas aren't super important and doesn't have huge implications. It's just not something that gets talked about in everyday life. We are witnessing another step change in the history of humanity, and nobody is ready for it. Tesla is the perfect example of how disruptive innovations happen with their work in battery technology. For years and years, everybody said that you cannot make a profit selling electric cars. The cost of producing them was just way too high, mainly because of the battery cost. I mean, look at Tesla's first 3 cars. We have the Roadster, Model S, and Model X, all very expensive luxury cars that only a select group of people are able to purchase. And Tesla was still hard-pressed to make a profit during those years, even selling vehicles with the average price of over $100,000. But as they furthered technology and became leaders in innovation, Tesla found ways to lower the cost of the battery enough to where they're able to put out their next two models, the 3 and the Y, which start in the 30s and 40s respectively. This decrease in the cost of production has allowed Tesla to dramatically reduce the selling price of their vehicles. This change has unlocked massive demand and has allowed progress to be made in other areas with battery storage, trying to move the grid away from fossil fuels and peaker plants.
DNA sequencing, to give you that example, back in the early 2000s, it took $2.3 billion, $2.7 billion, and 13 years of computing power to sequence the first whole human genome. Even if that cost had come down in half the next year, we weren't ready for prime time. Today, nearly 20 years later, we're at $1,000 to sequence a whole human genome, actually less than that now. And we believe in 5 years we'll be at $100. And each of us will be going for an annual or biannual exam so that our geneticists can determine what genes have mutated in the last year or so, what genes have mutated in our bodies. In 2018, this chart updated would be nearly 1.5 million. That was just a 2-year difference. They were making a projection for 5 to 6 years out, and they were wrong by orders of magnitude. And we believe this is about to happen again. If we are right, the cost of an electric vehicle is going to drop below that, and this is the average electric vehicle, of a gas-powered car in 2022, and it's going to keep falling. So that in 2025, we'll be at $15,000 compared to $25,000 for the average gas-powered car. We are going electric, not only because of cost, but because they're better cars.
This clip is from a talk that Ark Invest founder Cathie made at Singularity University's Global Summit in 2019. She made some bold statements about the future, and focusing in on the electric car industry, we can see just how spot on she actually is. Since she gave us this speech, we have gotten startups like Rivian and Lucid announcing vehicles to start production soon. We have legacy automakers starting to come out with fully electric vehicles, as well with the Hummer, Mustang, and VW's ID models. For electric cars, though, the standard is Tesla, and with good reason. Tesla alone will produce and sell around 500,000 vehicles this year and is expected to announce a delivery guidance of around 1 million cars in 2021. This type of growth is not slowing down anytime soon because by 2030, Tesla's founder Elon has gone on record saying that he wants to produce and sell 20 million vehicles. As of now, Tesla's only able to do a fraction of that, and has a lot to go right for them to have a chance at doing those kinds of numbers. I mean, 20 million a year is big talk for a company that has yet to show they can do more than 500,000 deliveries. A huge factor in Tesla being able to achieve its goal by doing what Ark believes possible, making the electric car cheaper to produce than the internal combustion engine. How would Tesla be able to achieve this? All we have to do is look at Battery Day. Now, I'm not going to do a full breakdown of Battery Day. There's a ton of great information out there from Hyperchange, Solving the Money Problem, Tesla Daily, and many others on that topic. Now, with that out of the way, Battery Day gave us a roadmap, a blueprint if you will, on how it plans to cut the cost of producing a battery by more than half of what it costs today. As we heard from Cathie multiple times, the only way to have a new innovation fully disrupt its predecessor is finding ways to cut the cost. Now, Tesla isn't aiming at the $15,000 price target that she mentioned in these clips, but they have announced plans to develop a $25,000 model. This will allow the everyday man or woman who are looking to purchase a new vehicle to at least consider and weigh the pros and cons of owning one. The Model 3 is already the best-selling sedan in its class by miles, showing that Tesla has found a way to make a car that has more value, performance, and useful technology than anyone in its class. And I expect, looking at Tesla's track record, the $25,000 model will be class-leading as well.
The one thing I'd like to emphasize about what we're doing is we've set up the firm in a way that's very different from traditional asset managers. Our analyst responsibilities are not broken out by sector. And the reason for that is because we disagree with sector classifications. We believe that technology is blurring the lines between and among sectors. And even further, we believe that a number of the innovation platforms that are evolving right now, and which I'll discuss in a moment, they are converging. We believe that traditional asset managers are going to have to reorganize, restructure their research departments if they want to understand the innovation that's evolving today and capitalize on it. The analysts out there following the auto industry are value analysts. They cannot handle growth. It's just a different discipline within our business. That's how siloed we've become. But the auto industry, the electric auto industry, is going to be a growth industry, the likes of which we have not seen since the Model T. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And just to illustrate the convergence of these innovation platforms, just to go back to autonomous taxi networks, that's a conversion of robots, autonomous vehicles are robots, energy storage, they will be electric, cheaper, and artificial intelligence. They're going to be powered by artificial intelligence. Tesla, what kind of analyst should be following Tesla? Robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, software as a service. We need to restructure research departments.
I couldn't have said it any better. So many people sit here and wonder why they missed out on past innovators like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and to a certain extent Tesla. While some is due to the risk involved in believing that these companies can deliver on their promises to change the world, a lot of the reason why people miss out on these opportunities is because they don't analyze the companies for what they actually are. They try to fit these companies like Tesla into a predefined box and only look at it based on what past companies have done, not what companies will look like in 5, 10, 20 years out. A lot is changing in the investment sector on how we view these stocks. The P/E ratio and other metrics are being thrown out, and it's leaving a lot of old school investors scratching their heads. Ark's approach of involving multiple teams with different specialties to analyze every stock in their portfolio is a strategy that from the outside looking in seems like a no-brainer to me. Common sense would tell me that if a company is building robots for their production, researching a neural net, and have their vehicles combined on a network constantly passing data throughout the system, that would equate a second look and worth more than just saying that they're an automaker, so we'll just base the company solely on what it does in that sector. It's like meeting a new person. Do you want to judge them solely on their appearance and your assumptions of who they are, or do you want to come at them with a clean slate? Actually have a conversation and see what the person is really like. And throughout that conversation, you might realize that this person has been severely misjudged and has huge upside that isn't being accounted for. That's when you know there's a huge opportunity. And that's exactly what Ark has been able to do. Their track record speaks for themselves. They have done really well, up extraordinary numbers. I use what I learned from following and studying Ark and their movements. I also try to look in the future and not be so caught up in doing things a certain way, just because that's how it's always been done. Thanks for watching. Please tell me in the comment section below if you are invested in any of the companies that Cathie Wood has talked about in the video today. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to see more content. I'm Nolan, and that's Solve Life.